When people are in trouble, animals are often left without proper attention. And it cannot be like that, because everyone had the right to live and everyone had the right to a normal life. Unfortunately, there is no state program to support shelters. There are only municipal programs in some cities.
Hello and welcome to Ukraine in Flames, a special project by Ukraine Media Center and NGO Euro-Atlantic Course, and I'm your host, Miroslava Yaremkiv. The number of abandoned animals has increased significantly since the onset of a full-scale Russian invasion. Some animals die from bomb shelling, others lose their homes and owners. But Ukrainians do not leave even animals in trouble. They rescue pets, often risking their own health and life. Zoo activists regularly go on volunteer animal missions to territories affected by Russian shelling or temporarily occupied. In today's episode, we're going to talk about stray animals and shelters during the war, particularly their biggest challenges and accomplishments. If you want to learn more about this subject, please continue watching this video and subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss our videos in the future. Even before the war, we had a problem with homeless animals, and now many people have left their pets behind. These animals are usually not sterilized, and due to the fact that they end up on the street, uncontrolled reproduction occurs. In these challenging conditions, they suffer from lack of food, water, illnesses, and injuries. If we don't intervene, if the authorities don't take action, we could potentially face a pandemic as certain animal diseases can be transmitted to humans. Owner of the shepherd shelter Volier number 1, Liliya Yemelyanenko, pays special attention to this issue and tries to explain the risks to the public. Let's hear what she has to say about this problem and some other challenges that animal shelters face at the moment.
What can I tell you about today's situation with animals in Ukraine? Unfortunately, it's very complicated and is resolved very gradually. Shelters work, but we all have the opportunity to solve the issue we have. We used to work in Kyiv. We are close to the city, and we solved the problems of animals that were within our reach. Today, unfortunately, we must rescue the animals of Ukraine, and there are a lot of them. Unfortunately, even around Kyiv, when it was very, very hard, Irpin, Bucha, where it was extremely hard, Hostomel, a lot of people left. Some people left their animals behind and saved their own lives and the lives of their children. We can't blame them. Some people took animals with them, and we are grateful to them. But a lot of animals remained unattended. So what are the problems? The problems are the same as they've always been, but they're become a little bigger. Animal sheltering is the biggest problem. Whatever the shelter does, we have to understand that we would like to place those animals somewhere. We don't have that audience now, and we have 3 times, 4, 5, 10 times more animals. Even before, it was difficult to find a home for them. But that's what life is at the moment. No one planned that such a thing could happen in our country, in our lives, or anywhere in the world. Many thanks to our foreign friends who help. Some shelters are a little more lucky because they receive more help from the large international funds. We have a small shelter. We do not receive help from abroad. But we nevertheless work. We take, sterilize, and vaccinate animals, and then give exclusively sterile animals for adoption. All shelters should act like this. Sterilization is in the foreground. Unfortunately, not all animal owners understand the importance of sterilization of their pets. We especially thank our friends abroad because they pay attention to this. We have a lot of free sterilization programs right now. Besides, volunteers help a lot. They come to the owner, take the pets for sterilization, and then bring it back. And this is very important. The biggest problem is probably domestic animals, farm animals, because these animals are really very difficult to transport and keep. There are no such resources to keep, for example, cows, horses. It is very difficult. But what can we do? This is the situation in our country. Among the problems we face are food for animals and veterinary drugs. But once again, we thank our friends abroad who understand and help us and who do not give up. Since we have a lot of animals now, it's really hard both emotionally, physically, and financially. It is simply possible to do without support. But all the shelters that I know are working, and they work very honestly, very hard, with a great desire to help animals. Thanks to everyone who understands us and supports Ukraine. Thanks to everyone who supports animals in general. Because when people are in trouble, animals are often left without proper attention. And it cannot be like that, because everyone has the right to live, and everyone has the right to a normal life.
Sirius is the largest shelter for homeless animals in Ukraine, where more than 3,000 dogs and more than 200 cats live. The village of Fedorivka, north of Kyiv, where the shelter is located, has been isolated from the rest of Ukraine for 35 days since the start of the Russian invasion. And it was under Russian occupation for about 2 weeks. Residents of the shelter constantly heard enemy planes, the sounds of mortar shelling, and explosions. The animals were frightened and tried to escape, hurting themselves against the cages. Director and founder of the shelter Sirius, Oleksandra Mezinova, will talk more about surviving the first months of war in the shelter. You will also see her plea that was recorded in March 2022 when the shelter was under occupation, and the footage of the animals in the shelter.
I'm Oleksandra Mezinova, the founder and manager of the Sirius shelter. Our shelter is the biggest in Europe. We have more than 3,000 animals. Now, there's a war in our country, and it's very hard for all shelters, including ours, to survive. We ran out of food in the first days of the war. There was some cat food left, but no dog food at all. So every day we had to travel through Russian checkpoints to get some food. We took everything we could: potatoes, corn, and different food that are not very good for dogs. But we had to work with what was available. We fed our animals for a month and a half during the time we were under occupation. Almost all our animals survived. Only 7 animals died. Their hearts stopped due to the stress. The Sirius shelter survived the occupation. We got through. I'm now in the largest shelter in Ukraine, the Sirius shelter. We are in a very difficult situation now. Our cities are bombed. Our villages are burning. Our army is heroically defending our homeland, fighting for us, protecting our lives. Russia attacked us, and we are in a very difficult situation. Our problem is that there is about 1 day's food left. We're blocked from all sides. Our bridge was blown up. Neither can we go through Hostomel. We can't go there either. Cars can't get to us. Please, we can only get some food in the village, in the nearest villages. Tanks have already gone through a neighboring village towards Kyiv. Kyiv is being bombed. We do need help. I'll show you everything we have left now. We have some cereal left. I bought some in the village and got some potatoes. It isn't, of course, a proper food for animals, but we need something to feed them. We have some firewood left. In fact, that's all we have. Please, I beg you, help us, because the largest shelter in Ukraine may simply die, disappear from the face of the earth. Thanks to everyone who helps. We're holding on. I hope we'll survive. I kindly ask you to help Ukraine with sanctions. The most severe sanctions from you, from Europe, from America. Please, before it's too late, help us not to lose Ukraine. Help not to wipe Ukraine off the face of the earth. Thank you very much, everyone who helps. Danke. Thank you. Unfortunately, we have a very large debt, about 1 million hryvnias. We are receiving very small donations, because it is very difficult for everyone in our country now. Unfortunately, there is no state program to support shelters. There are only municipal programs in some cities. We had no support from Kyiv for almost 2 years of the war.
been watching the special project of Ukraine Media Center and Euro-Atlantic course dedicated to the Russian-Ukrainian war, Ukraine in Flames. In the description under this video, you can find information on how you can help Ukraine fight Russian aggression. If you find our work useful, please like and share this video. Slava Ukraini!